I would 100% recommend people to take woodcock and grouse hunting. It is challenging. Now I know we got kind of boned with the weather. It might have been a different experience on grouse without the weather, but so much work, you know, that I had never shot an animal before, and putting in all that work to hunt those birds, actually hitting a bird and harvesting that animal was almost like the reward for how much risk you took and how much, you know, body abuse you put through to you know, chase these birds and hunt these birds. So for anyone that wants to get into something, it's very similar to, in my opinion, fishing, getting on the fish, but a whole new level when you're on the ground. These birds flush so fast, and it's entertaining in the aspect of how difficult it is. And that challenge really excites me. I really appreciate challenges, and that was probably one of the more challenging things that I've had to do in an outdoor manner.
I mean, I think in a world of cookie cutter experiences, and you know, to have a chance to go out and actually work for your dinner, and I mean, to hike on an average of 10 miles a day to maybe harvest one bird, I think there's a good allure to that.
Grouse and woodcock's a lot different than the hunting I do in western Kansas. Back in the day, we used to actually have plum thickets and some nastiness that you could push through and kind of push birds out of. With how they farm Kansas nowadays, they're haying all the waterways. They're getting rid of the plum thickets. So we don't have woods like this. We don't have brush like this. So grouse and woodcock hunting is a lot different. It's also just a lot different in how the dogs work. You got wide-ranging dogs that a lot of the times you can't see. In Kansas, you get rolling hills. You might have you have times where you don't see the dogs, but it's not usually very long. Here, you're relying on bells, you're relying on beepers, and it's a lot different. Being able to get multiple people in on a flush, it's a lot like quail, but it's a lot different because we don't have the brush in the way. Shots are a lot more restricted here.
He's gonna go.
You have limbs, you have trees, you have all sorts of stuff in the way between you and the bird. And so what might seem like an easy shot never turns out to be an easy shot.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Here, Scout. Come.
I grew up with a foundation for hunting birds, upland hunting in western Kansas. If it hadn't been for friends, their family, one of the groups I go with now is just a bunch of college buddies. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't get to go out there as much as I get to. I have no background up here. I have no clue what's going on, what I'm looking for if we're chasing woodcock or grouse. I just would be a terrible resource. And Joe is the exact opposite. You know, he tries to live up here as much as he can. So he lives and breathes this in New England, kind of like I do in Kansas.
Congrats. First woodcock ever? First woodcock ever. Looking all right. Yeah, thank you.
So he really has the background that's needed for people who don't know what they're doing. Having a mentor like Joe, somebody who can show you the ropes, show you the dog works, and show you how the dogs work up here in order to be successful. It's just invaluable. Having somebody with that level of knowledge that can take time out of their hunting days and spend it with people who, you know, we're gonna bust more birds than we kill. For him to take the time is just really good of him.
You're a little behind it. I mean, that's still a pretty far shot too, so.
So I'm around black guns all day. I make holsters for the tactical community, and I'm just an outdoors person. I live in New Hampshire. It's probably one of the greatest states for outdoorsman activities. And I really felt like living in the city in Manchester and constantly just coming to work in a mill building and whatnot, I was losing touch with nature. And camping's cool, but it's kind of redundant to me. Just going, renting out a campsite, going hiking, that, like, I've done it forever. And I wanted to connect with nature a different way. And I was speaking to my friend Zach, and we were talking about it, and he suggested that I should probably get into upland hunting, and thought it would be a good transition into hunting and get me up to speed that way. And I went feet first, you know? I jumped right into it. I wanted to absorb all of it. I like learning new things, and I wanted that outdoor skill.
The ruffed grouse is my outlet from life. I mean, I live my life for October, and to be in the uplands is just like a release from all the stressors of life. Nothing really is going on besides me being in tune with my dogs in the woods. And that's where it really comes down to for me, is the dogs. Harvesting a bird is a great experience, but some of my best days hunting have been, you know, empty tailgate days. And the significance of mentoring is really to pass on our own legacy. So as a regional director for the Ruffed Grouse Society, my main focus is outreach and fundraising. Educating and bringing people together into a group to be able to fundraise and support the Ruffed Grouse Society mission and support the regional biologists and their habitat work.
I wear this in the dead of winter. They're definitely like a spooky bird. They're like wood ninjas. They flush really loud and hard. They take off like a rocket ship, and it's usually, you hear the flush, you turn, and you're just seeing an ass full of tail feathers already, 25 yards out by the time you snap the shotgun up. So grouse hunting was much, much, much more difficult, in my opinion, than woodcock hunting, which I've heard since then that woodcock to a lot of people are more difficult because of their almost erratic flight. But I enjoyed shooting the woodcock because for me they were easier to predict compared to grouse. Grouse were just rocket ship gone real fast.
It would look cool in slow-mo though. Yeah, my hand wouldn't look as cool as
My mom was definitely a little skeptical because she raised me to treat all animals kindly, but they're embracing it. They appreciate it because the way I told them is it's reconnecting with nature as like an adult. Like, I do like camping and fishing and stuff like that. I related it a lot to fishing. So my parents, they grew up on boats. It was really like a correlation, like the way we treat and catch fish is similar to like how like bird hunting was for me. Like it just felt like a transition rather than something vastly unknown, at least morally speaking. You can't put a cap on how much nature is around you and how much wilderness is ingrained into you when you're just out there mucking along, following your dogs. So I kind of want a dog too. My name is Alex Costa. I'm a longtime shooter, first-time hunter.
He's gonna break as soon as you come up over this ledge. Watch to the left a bit. There he goes. You got him?
Well, for me, the memories that always stick are I get kind of a slow-mo memory of taking a bird, taking an animal. So, whether it was the elk I shot a couple years ago, I have that in vivid slow-mo in my mind. And for me, from this trip, it is a grouse kicking up in front of me, soaring across to the right and taking one shot and seeing it crumple across the river, especially between the weather and just
more pictures out there.
Inexperience.
Graham, leave it, bud.
I didn't have you know, I didn't think I'd take one. So being able to shoot one was awesome.
Feathers are puffy, but they're not heavy. Check out, you see their feet? That's how they...
Going to hunting cabins elsewhere, you just don't see this. I haven't seen this kind of heritage. You might have a couple photos from back in the day, but you don't have an entire cabin lined with the memories of, you know, 24 people. To see that, just the groups of folks coming out here, and you see the memories that they made, and to some people it might just be a trophy. I mean, that might just be a trophy to somebody, but that's a memory for that entire group of folks that were here. And just to see that they've done this for, you know, 40, 50, you know, 60 years. It's a lot of heritage. It's not something you see a lot of places. My name is Zach Hein. I work at CZ USA. I'm the marketing communications manager from Lawrence, Kansas, and it's my first time grouse and woodcock hunting.
You know, it's our traditions, our pastimes, and if we don't pass that on, then there's not going to be anyone to bear the torch. In a world where there's less and less hunters every year, there's not going to be anyone to carry this on. My name's Joe Levesque. I'm the Northeast Regional Director with the Ruffed Grouse Society and the American Woodcock Society, and I'm a proud New Englander.